Yes. Welcome, people, to our podcast On The Overrun. So this is me, Martin Kotze. I'm going to be your host for the majority of the podcast. We never know what's going to happen. This is Luke. Luke, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's good to be here.
How are you feeling at the moment? Nervous, excited?
Nervous, excited, a bit of everything. It's going to be everything. A good thing. Got a lot to talk about. So
we do have a lot to talk about, but the problem is majority of the time we don't talk any sense. So now we actually have to put whatever's in our heads
you have to
onto
start
words.
thinking about what you're going to say for the next thing, because otherwise we just waffle around. It's good connection.
Here. Whenever do we think about what we're going to say?
Probably never.
Yeah, so
not even a little bit. But
this is something new for me. This is something new for you. But as I said, welcome. Our podcast name is On The Overrun. You are either listening on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, or you are watching us on YouTube.
Because that's the thing now. So
that is the thing. Everybody's vlogging, but we're podcasting.
Exactly.
So for those watching on YouTube, I really hope you are watching on YouTube, because then you can see the majestic beard that Luke has, of which I am very jealous of.
Actually, I cut off half of it yesterday because it just got too long, and wearing masks with the whole pandemic and everything going around, it's just a bit too hectic.
So if you're listening to this podcast in 2025, which you probably will not, this is during the time of Corona and the lockdown, and we really have to be cautious in terms of,
that's why we have this wonderful spacing between us.
This is at least 7 meters for those wondering.
Exactly. It's 7 meters, and we have this little light that just destroys everything that's in front of us. So it's working very nicely.
We're learning as we go. But Luke, as I said, welcome. It is nice having you here.
Yeah, thank you, Martin.
Thanks for being the wonderful car nerd and petrolhead that you are.
It's because of you. I mean, you were the first guy that I talked to about all these things.
So we probably have to start off by introducing ourselves and just talk a little about who we are, where our passion for cars started, what experiences we have, why do we drive. That is important, of course. So I think, Luke, if you can maybe introduce yourself, just let the people know, like, who are they taking advice from?
Yeah, don't take advice from me. I'm being you, because you're going to hold me accountable to that, and it's not going to work out at all. But so I'm originally from Hermanus, and I've been living in Stellenbosch for about 16 years now. And it's a place to live for some proper car culture and all that. I would say my love for cars probably started with my dad's 5 Series Bmw. He had this like gold copper brown BMW with a brown leather interior.
What year?
I think it was a 1993.
Oh, that's awesome.
Classic BMW shape. So I'm a bit of a BMW fanboy. I have to admit that in the beginning. Maybe to my downfall, I don't know. It's a lot of things to be said about BMW, but so that's where it started, and then I just kept on. And like I said with Martin, he's really like a guy to talk with, because you can just tell him anything about a car and he'll react.
Please don't quote him on that.
At the moment I drive a 2000 Nissan Terrano. It's a 2.7 turbo diesel. And that thing it's still going. It's got a little under 500,000 kilometers on, but it had an engine rebuild 20,000 kilometers ago.
It is running on fumes.
On fumes, basically. We drove it. We actually went hunting with it once, and we drove 1,800 kilometers on 2 cylinders.
Yes.
And that was it. On a 4-cylinder car, we drove, and we cruised like at 120, and it was no problem at all. So I think that car is still going strong.
There's no computer to complain.
So you
it's
take
all analog.
a wrench, duct tape, some glue or whatever, and you fix it up, and then you're sorted. So that's it.
So you'd say your passion started with your dad. He's BMW.
My dad, my brother as well. Yeah, BMW. Thank you, Martin, for that. My brother as well. He's also been like a car guy, and he's 12 years older than I am. So obviously he had his car long before I had.
Maybe not. We get him on later.
We might get him on later.
I think you'll be surprised what kind of job he does, and then still has a passion for cars. But
so he drives a 1966 Series 2 Land Rover as his daily car.
Yeah.
And then he's got a C200 Mercedes, also 1966 model, with a nice fence at the back. And he might do some conversions on that and turn it into something interesting.
We might or might not see any.
But we'll see. He's got his bikes and all that, so that's also a big thing for me that helps. And just, being in Stellenbosch and knowing a lot of people with cars.
Yeah.
It helps the situation
That does help a lot.
Bit.
That does help a lot.
Martin, what's your story?
Yeah, so my story, I lived in the Boland area. So for those staying in India, I basically moved from anywhere around a 50-kilometer radius from where I am sitting now. I've never been out of the country. I've been to a country within our country, Lesotho, but that doesn't count. So I still have
Did
to
you
go
to Swaziland as well once?
Yeah.
No, didn't you go on that one?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's too far. That's too far. Durban is as far as I'm gonna go.
Durban is there
For now.
you stop, yeah.
But yeah, my story started when I was very young. So my dad was fortunate enough to work at Mercedes-Benz. So he was an accountant for, since he started working, and later on became dealer principal. Later on became head accountant for basically the province we are living in, which is, insane. But the year he left, which was about 2012, the new car market really struggled. Second-hand cars were like
a bit of a crash. In a sense
it's just the car industry in a whole in South Africa was struggling at that time. And so as I said, he worked for Mercedes for 12 years. So we had the opportunity to drive the latest Mercedes. Of
Staying updated on brands. And
and of course you still have to pay for it. But I was a young lad then, I was probably not even as tall as the stable. But I remember photos where I'd sit in a car on my dad's lap on this, busy like with the steering wheel.
You're driving at that age, Martin. What's going on here? What are you telling me now?
No, of course I wasn't driving. Sort of. But yeah, so I remember those photos, and my mom, she actually told me a story the other day. Is that the most interesting thing about me, that like all of my friends' mothers and fathers remember from when I was like, smaller than grade 0, grade R, whatever they call it. I used to recognize every single one of my friends' mothers by the car keys they have. So I would say this is a Renault.
A real car nerd that would do something like that. Like I've never in my life heard about that, and it's great for me that I'm hearing this now because I'm going to use this so much. You just gave me a proper black card to use against you whenever I need to.
When my mother told me this, I was like, "You lie! I wasn't that clever." Just looking back now, that was quite insane. But yeah, so I used to recognize every single one of my friends' mothers by the car keys they have, and I used to. Like I could watch a car drive past me and I could name you the car and the model.
He still does it.
Yeah.
It's hectic.
So there was a a period during high school where I was just in the desert, as everybody is, and I didn't really care about cars as much. And my dad was like, what's going on? Like, where's your knowledge now? And I think that sort of pressured me into going back into cars again. But like, cars is a massive passion of mine. And the only passion I have greater than cars is people, and
connecting
sharing
with people and all that other stuff.
Sharing the experiences, sharing the passion, and I think we'll get to why we're doing this podcast in a moment. But just like to share an experience. So one of my friends' fathers, he has a 911 Carrera GTS 2015. So it's a 991.1. For those who are not Porsche aficionados, I do apologize. That is one of
my... It all looks the same.
That is one... don't tell me it comes from the Beetle.
No,
don't tell me. I know.
What are you saying now? You're talking about a Beetle,
Let's not... Please.
Let's not go there.
Yeah. And I remember we went for a canyon drive from Strand or Gordons Bay, and we drove to Royals, which is not far from there, and it's just this drive like next to this Rocky Mountain. And Rocky Mountain. All mountains are rocky.
Sing us a song, Martin. What's going on?
I'm not going to sing a song now. Next to this like rock wall, basically, and then the ocean. And we just, every single turn, you hear the crackles and pops from the exhaust. You hear the flat six just rumbling past. And as soon as it hit 3,000 revs, it just, it just goes.
Yeah, I think it's a point to start with the passion for cars, because the same experience like what you had now with the Porsches that I had with the F-Type, I'm driving that as well, and you have
I remember
supercharged V6 sitting and rumbling behind you, and you hear pops and bangs. It was a convertible as well, so all the sounds are like there. I mean, that's a massive thing that fuels specifically car passions, obviously. I mean,
definitely the character of the cars, and just the sounds they make, how it feels when you drive it. And I mean, we didn't even get to drive. Okay, you got to drive the F-Type. I didn't drive the 911. Very glad I didn't drive the 911. But
imagine the insurance cost on that, bro.
Please not. Please not. But I think just experiencing that and getting to share it with other people, like afterwards you are so excited and like this massive adrenaline rush. You just want to share it with whoever you get in touch with, So yeah, I think we can go on from that and just introduce On The Overrun. Like why are we doing On The Overrun? And I think I first want to start with the name. As I explained with the Porsche, the Overrun, the technical definition is basically when a car's...
Sorry, before you go on, I just want to say that between the two of us, he's going to do most of the technical stuff because he knows a lot more. So I'm just saying, giving a thing, so explaining, and I'll just add every now and again.
Okay, thanks, Luke. So overrun is basically when the engine's revs are higher than the throttle position. So when you leave the throttle and the engine still is busy like dying down in the revs, and that's usually when you hear the character of the car come out. So you'll hear burbles, you hear like cracks and pops out of the exhaust. That's usually when when there are some fuel left in the engine that hasn't been burnt, that just gets splurted out of the exhaust. That's the very technical definition. But basically that's why we drive cars hard, is to get that character, to get that emotion. Like that's what you share, that's what you remember at the end of the day. But yeah, like tell us a bit more, like why are we doing this podcast? What is our aim with this podcast?
I think, like we said before, but it's to share our experiences with the people and get people as well that enjoy cars as much as we do. Like the whole passion driven behind it, and just connect people. So we can build this nice community of car enthusiasts. And I saw the other thing the other day as well on Instagram that stated whether you're driving a Subaru or you're driving Toyota or whatever it is, the Hondas, it doesn't matter. We're all car enthusiasts in the end. You might have and talk about GTRs and the competition between that and other stuff, and you obviously use a lot of banter and get into people's business about certain cars. But I think at the end of the day, we all have the passion for the same thing. We're all car enthusiasts, and that's a big driving point behind what we're doing here. I think connecting, building network, and just sharing. Sharing,
that's the main thing. I think with cars, it's like music, it's like food, it's a means to get people together. So when you have a mutual liking between two people, usually you forget about the differences between the two people. Like Luke and I have some major differences, and of course now and then it does cause a bit of conflict and friction,
and we just slap each other a bit and we get over it.
And we get over it.
So it's easy game.
Good bit of conflict never hurt anyone.
Exactly. It's not a very good thing to run that on, but anyway, continue.
But as I said, like it's a means to get people together. So you forget about the differences, you talk about the passion for cars, and that's like just the love for people that also gets out. As I said, like we both are very passionate about people, about cars, and just sharing the experiences. And I think with On The Overrun, we're definitely going to, majority of the podcast, the aim is to get guests on, but not just your typical, CEO owns 50 cars and all of them are basically like collectors, Porsches and Ferraris. We want the guy who collects the classic American cars. We want the guy who's been building and modifying and like rebuilding and redesigning cars since he's been like 5, We want the guy.
We like people, I'm taking an example now of a friend of ours as well, where he was desperate for a car and it was very difficult to get that specific car in this country. And he flew over to the States and took the car apart into parts and did flights the whole year through. And every time he flew, he would come back out of customs with either a bumper or a side skirt or the wing or whatever,
something,
just to build that car. And it took him a few years to complete it, but he has his car. And
it's his pride and joy.
It's his pride and joy. And he was able to do it. I mean, that's a big thing. Like really what we're looking for, and the thing that we share. Is that drive behind a passion for something.
And also, like, if you are watching or listening and you don't have as great of a passion of course as we do, like, thank you for being here, because that is part of the goal why we're doing this podcast. We aren't just here to like share news and like share stories and like talk about the technical stuff in a 3-liter 6-cylinder you've gone in a BMW. We're actually trying to create appreciation for cars. Of course, people made these cars. These are like mechanical and engineering marvels. Sometimes we look at, like, just take companies like Porsche, McLaren, Koenigsegg, who designed the most crazy technology who nobody understands, not even me and you. Not even me and you, of course. We don't know anything really, but that's the special thing about it, is just sharing the, like, also how crazy creations these things also are. So we want to create appreciation. We know all you care, like, some people might be listening, like our good friend Peter. Like
Yeah,
he
exactly.
only drives Hiluxes and cares about C classes.
He drove a Mercedes and we took that thing for quite a spin. It was a bit shaky and I was skeptical at points, but we did it. So I think we need to take the Hilux as well, just for the fun of it, you know.
Yeah, you know.
But I probably won't take a Hilux
that
around
was-
the corner at 120 because it might just roll because that thing is very,
I
very
think
light.
that Hilux had one of the best experiences. Well, of course, one of the best experiences for my life in terms of cars. But let's not talk about that. But anyway,
Next time.
we want to create appreciation. We want to create passion. But enough of the rambling and the sharing. You know, we might start crying if we speak
You
any
might get a little
further.
emotional about certain stuff about this.
But yeah, everybody has their passion.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do question myself and think like,
I question him sometimes as well.
is this an obsession? Maybe. It might be.
I think it's just it's on the border of that. It's getting to that, and
getting
that's
to
fine.
that.
I mean, it's a
Yeah,
good thing to have.
to an
It's-
extent, of course.
It's better than doing some sort of drug or something. I mean, looking at cars.
Yeah.
The parents would be
If you
would
have
be alright
friends-
with that.
If you have friends, please don't neglect your friends because of an obsession or on cars or whatever it may be. Anyway,
Keep
we
your
have
friends.
some.
I mean, I think we've lost a few maybe
Yeah.
losing in car culture, but that's fine. So. It's all-
But anyway, to more important news. Let's talk about some news. Of course, this is our first podcast, and
on July the 15th, is it? Yeah.
July the 15th, we are recording it. And as we
Martin,
are
yeah, I was
recording
about
it,
to say, what's happening today, Martin?
something very exciting got released this morning. The Mercedes-AMG GT Black Series. Now,
A wing literally, it's larger than life.
Do you remember those school benches? The one you had to flip
Exactly,
open.
the one that you flip up and down. It's like
I
putting
promise
that-
you, I'm showing you photos now, but that wing is as big as the school benches
It's
I had
literally
in
like
primary
you can
school.
fit two adults there and have a lunch on the back of that car. No problem. Maybe put some champagne on the right hand side and some ice bucket on the left or something. Because
You can definitely have a picnic or iron your clothes. But anyway, so the GT Black Series, this is Mercedes sports car. So when the AMG GT came out quite a couple of years ago, I think 2014, it was Mercedes' answer to the Porsche 911, which is arguably the best sports car ever made and probably still is. And that car came out and it was like, it's quite cool, you know. Mercedes actually brought out a thoroughbred sports car, one they're actually focusing on for a certain market segment. And then they went on with the GT. So they had the GT, then they had the GTR was next. Yeah, before the GTC. So GTR was next. This was the more track-focused version. Then they had the GTC, which is between the GT and the GTR. I know, there's a lot of GTs coming. Then they had the GTR. Then they had the GTR Pro, which was released a year ago. And that was the even more track-focused version of the GTR, which is it looked like it was a GTR with just a body kit on. And like some could say it was.
Very good-looking body kit, I might add.
Yeah, very good-looking, non-fake body kit.
Proper, not some fiberglass knockoff here from the...
And the thing is, they brought the GT Black Series out not as a GTR Black Series, which we should remember, but as a GT Black Series. So I just want to share some stats.
It's almost going back to that the first GT and saying we building and sorting this out as almost a brand new car, basically.
I actually have an analogy to explain it. So imagine a keyboard. Okay, you have a very average keyboard. I don't know what you buy keyboards for these days. 200 Rand that game maybe. And they brought the GT out and was like, it's good keyboard. It does the job. I type S, it's going to show S on the screen. You know, it does its job. It's trustworthy. The GT Black Series is like one of those keyboards that you pay thousands of rands for with all the colors and like a clicking sounds, and it even has like voice recognition. I mean, it can even like
LED backlighting.
Backlighting. It guesses what you're going to type next. Like it has all the bells and whistles, everything. So this is the final iteration of the GT. Well,
for now,
at least. I don't know. I don't think it is the final iteration. I don't think they can go more crazy than that. The Black Series brand is all established on being as close to track car as you can get.
A road going car
if this front splitter was extended by 1 millimeter, it would not be road legal. So Mercedes went to the absolute, extremes,
limit, pushing that mold of what you can do for road legal.
And like, what is this car fighting against? GT2 RS. GT2 RS.
And it's a very close battle. It is
a very close battle.
Close.
Usually Mercedes will have the more power, more torque, but the Porsche just is
instant
like,
acceleration from that.
It's just so good in everything
cornering,
it does.
Traction.
So we'll see. This thing's main battle and challenge will be on the Nürburgring. So we'll see how it does there.
I think they already started testing there because I saw a few pictures of the.
Yeah, they did
demo
start
car going
testing.
out,
I don't know if they. I don't
we're
think
sitting with
they
very
have,
little information. It's very secretive and it's understandable. I mean, it's a big thing for Mercedes to launch.
So the Aventador SVJ at the moment has the lap record for Nürburgring. For those who don't know, Nürburgring is basically the benchmark for any good sports car to go test on. Well, so brands believe. So yeah, we'll see what Mercedes does. But it just like looking at it, I thought a few days ago when the leaked images came out, I was like, it's maybe a bit overboard. Maybe it's like this stupid Mansory body kit or whatever.
What's the car that you said it reminded you of?
So there's an American car called a Dodge Viper ACR. It was also released like 5 years ago. Very much track focused. Very much like uncomfortable.
That's like the top of what American racing cars. I think that's a very good point to reference from.
Road legal track cars.
Road legal track cars from America specifically.
So we'll see what this thing does. I'm very excited to see how it performs. Of course, majority of people are going to drive it on the road. And 730 horsepower, which is about 120 horsepower more than the normal GTR and GTR Pro. Well, I say normal, but according to this thing...
They're insane. So this is like taking a Tesla from normal driving mode to ludicrous. It's taking the GT
so
to
I think maybe this will be the next Widowmaker. This thing is really dangerous if you don't know how to control your cars. And it's just... it's so sorry to know that majority of these cars will probably just be driven on the roads somewhere in London.
Standing down and you'll do 10,000 Ks on it eventually and then it's done. It'll just stand there.
I don't know. Do you think it's going to be a collector's car?
It might be. I don't know. It's a difficult thing to discuss where we think it's collector's item because things happen. I mean, if you look at the car market, suddenly like simple example of that would be the old Fords in South Africa at least. Like suddenly they pick up with value and no one expected it. Within 2 years it's gone like 3 times its value. So I mean, it's difficult to do it out, but there's going to be very few of these models, so I think it's going to be a big thing because there won't be so many.
And
so it might be because there'll be few and far between in different places, so
definitely.
it could be a new thing to look out for, and it might be a massive collector's item. I don't know.
In terms of car values, it's very difficult to like guess or sort of try and figure out what it's going to be, because like usually people thought naturally aspirated, manual, analog, that's what's going to bring it up in value. But now these days, like we don't have many analog cars, But going to a more
and I just want to say, so like you said with a Porsche as well, where that the 911 GT2 RS will be the biggest competition for this car. And with a new generation, they developed some 3D printed pistons. It blows my mind, to be honest. But that's going to be, I think it's going to match exactly. And I mean, that's out of a 3.8 liter engine compared to that V8. Twin turbo also, V8. And so it's an insane thing that Porsche are doing as well. So if they can match that, then it's going to be a German battle, eh?
It's going to be interesting.
A good thing.
These Germans are too good.
No, they're too good.
But I think let's go on to a bit more of a mechanical car, a bit more of
off the beaten track.
Off the beaten track. Luke, explain to us what's next.
So, you probably saw as well a little bit ago the new Ford Bronco
which released. Is not coming to South Africa.
It's not coming to South Africa, which is very, very sad.
Yeah.
But a little before the normal 3-door and a 5-door came out, there was the Baja version of that same car, which was it looked insane. It's epic. And yes, it does look a bit like a Defender, but I think everything now these days that comes out looks like a Defender, and we'll discuss something else in a bit as well that looks a bit like a Defender. But it's an interesting little car. It's battling directly with a Rubicon and the Wrangler, the Jeeps. Especially in the States, obviously, but it's because you can take it apart. It's very simple, it's simplistic, and it's a going car. When you've got two engine options. It's a 2.3 EcoBoost,
like in the Focus RS.
Focus RS, and there's a 2.7 liter EcoBoost running, and then the gearboxes is a 7-speed manual and a 10-speed automatic.
7-speed manual is just like always so awkward. Like it's very short gear ratios, but usually last one is more for like cruising.
I suppose if you're going and if you're using the car for like trekking and stuff like that, it would probably make sense to use a.
Now that you say that, it does make sense that it's shorter gear ratios, hence off-roading. Does it have low range? Do we know if it has low range? Probably?
I'm not sure. There's also, because it's still quite new, they don't want to say too much. All I could find is just the engines and stuff. So we have to see what the.
Have you seen how Jeep replied?
No.
As soon as the Bronco came out, so of course this is like solidly a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon opponent.
Like immediately. Directly.
Market position right next to it. And Jeep actually said that they're going to do, so at the moment they usually have the 3.6 V6, and that's why I'm not a fan of the Jeep Wrangler, because it's like all show no go. Like it's very cool, like
that car is tiny inside.
Yeah, and it's my connotation with the Jeep Wrangler is the rich school kids turning 18 and their parents are like, First car.
Here you go. We'll put some slicks on and some low-profile tires because that looks cool.
Yeah,
it's horrible, by the way.
It does look horrible. We are not for low profiles on SUVs.
I'm not prejudiced toward a lot of stuff, but that looks bad.
Yeah. So Jeep actually are going to put, yes, you guessed it, a 6.4 litre V8 in their Jeep Wrangler.
Are they putting in the Wrangler or the Gladiator?
No, is it the Gladiator?
No, the 6.7 goes in the Gladiator. They put a 6.7 in the Gladiator and the 6.4.
But I think they're still deciding for the Gladiator because they said the Elephant, the 6.7 litre V8, will probably not fit. It fits very snug, and that's the problem. But with the Wrangler, Jeep said they are going to release a 6.4 litre V8 in the Wrangler, which is going to be childishly loud and very slow because it is like a brick driving through air.
So now we just have to wait for that Ford V8 to be put in the Bronco, and then we see what happens. That'll be an interesting thing. Imagine an all-wheel drive Bronco with a Ford V8. I'm
not a big SUV fan, but like the Bronco's got me.
Yeah, but that's because it's classic, and unlike another 4x4 company that recently buggered up their... Okay, no, they didn't bugger up their legacy, but the Bronco stays true to its original...
Yeah, on the other brand, we'll chat about...
We'll chat about that in a bit as well.
Maybe, we'll see. But anyway, like, just know you have to innovate. You have to sort of change the way. You can't just try and follow the same recipe and like, the market later on does go down. You sort of have to end on a high, but I think we can go on to our next segment. That is enough for the news. This is our first episode. Now, what is the logical topic to go and talk about on your first episode?
First cars.
So
imagine yourself being maybe like 17 years old and you're saving up for a year. You've waited your whole holiday or whatever. Granny gives you a bit of extra cash.
Yeah, maybe.
And
hopefully slip something.
Yeah, you end up with, 120,000 Rand as an 18-year-old?
Well, maybe. I don't know about saving for a year when you're 17.
Yeah, probably not. Okay, a little bit longer.
Let's just say you're like 20, 21 years old. You've worked a bit. Maybe your parents are chipping in a little bit. Granny has blessed you with Christmas presents.
Yeah, I was about to say Christmas has been good this year.
You've sold your Xbox. You are ready for something new. So we are going to give our take on what we think would be the best first cars for you today.
This is going to be interesting.
We have 2 cars each. We have two first cars each that we're going to recommend. And parents,
not recommend.
Well, recommend is the wrong word.
This is a horrible recommendation.
We have one sensible car which I feel you'd be able to take to your girlfriend's parents' house.
None of my choices I think ever are sensible. So just yeah.
Okay, I have one car that I drive my girlfriend's parents in around. Okay, that's the first car which I feel is safe, it's sensible, it's practical. That's what you want in a first car. And we also have a first car option which is a bit rowdy, a bit unexpected,
questionable,
unorthodox.
Yes, there we go. That's a good way to use it.
Yeah, very much compromised on the idea. We are just not following any norms or whatever people think is the good options to go for the first car. So
I think we should do the sensible one first.
Each
of us do our sensible one, and then we go on to the questionable choices.
So if you are ready,
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay. Share us your first option.
The car that I was looking for, because I live on a farm and we have horses, so we're constantly pulling trailers and taking horse feed around and stuff like that, and it's a working farm. So the car that I went for is a 1996 Mitsubishi Pajero. It's a 3.5 litre V6.
Practical.
it's practical in the sense for what I do, but the fuel cost is horrible. It's
It is everything that
it's 14 liters at 100 kilometers, which is shocking. But it's a big car. I mean, it's a big car. It's old. It's a manual. It's a manual.
It's a manual Pajero. Oh no!
But it's petrol, and the petrol ones are better than the diesels. I've went on a lot of forums just to check what the deal is with these things, and the first thing to go is the water pump. So
then the clutch,
and then the clutch. But you can always stick a Lexus V8 in it if you really want to.
Oh my word,
And it's horrible because this thing has 350,000 kilometers on it. So
can
it's
I
a very
just
bad
say?
choice for a car? Right, hang on. For my situation, it's practical to get something like that. And man, if you have some extra cash lying around, you stick a Lexus V8 in it and put an automatic transmission on it. Why not? I mean,
why not a fiberglass body kit? Eh?
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you think about?
Go to some guy in the North Shore or something and tell him, listen, can I put some nice BF Goodrich tires on my car, like somewhere between 31 and 35 inch? I think that would be a good thing to go for. What do you think, Martin, with a wide body fiberglass kit?
Can I firstly say, when I speak to Luke about cars, it's usually about like some kind of form of a Defender, like or a Hilux Bucky, you know.
Not necessarily
Hilux,
but
it's usually Defender or Lexus V8. He wants to stick a Lexus V8 in everything. Now, to be fair, it is easy to do
it's
that.
It's a very bad choice, but I want to stick it in the Nissan as well, the car I'm driving now. I mean,
yeah, we'll see what happens to that car in 3 years.
I blow something or break a crankshaft or whatever happens.
So I'll go to my first option then. Now, I've gone a bit more sensible. And
Martin
I think
is the sensible one.
This may be a bit of a more plain car. You know, this might be a car that majority of people get for their first car, but it's because it's reliable. It's because the parts are cheap, fuel is cheap, easy to drive. You can, have 4 people driving around in it and a dog and some luggage. You know, it's easy to go away for a weekend. It has Bluetooth, which is important. That is something you want in your first car. I've gone for a Ford Fiesta 5-door, 2016. It's a 1-liter turbo, so I am not sure if it's the EcoBoost engine. Let me just see. I think. Okay, doesn't say yet. But anyway, 4.9 liter per 100 kilometers, which is very good. 1 liter turbo.
Like
74 kilowatt. It's not bad. It's like, let's say a bit more than
You're going to be pulling
enough.
a caravan around, but that's
you
not
are
the
going
point.
to be pulling a caravan, maybe. I don't think this thing has a turbo.
We can fashion one for you. I'll bring the stuff in the Pajero and then we can weld you a...
Please no. Yeah, the Pajero can pull me out of a rut somewhere.
There you go. You see, this is why this works, because then we can help each other out.
The big thing about this, okay, 63,000 kilometers, good.
Yeah, no,
this is automatic, and now you may be like,
Ford and the automatic gearboxes.
But think of it when you start working in maybe in Cape Town, maybe in Johannesburg, you do not want to sit in traffic or go up a steep hill.
1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3,
not
2,
even
1.
1, 2. It's like 1, 2 handbrake, 1, 2 handbrake, and that is horrible. So I've chosen automatic because I think this is a 9-speed. I'm not sure. Let me just see. Okay, it doesn't say. Anyway, I think it is a 9-speed. But anyway, it's a very trusty and very reliable gearbox. Like, parts are cheap. It's a Ford. So, affordable, as I said, 120,000 Rand, and really a good version of this car. Like, you are not going to go wrong. Only thing is you have to drive to Johannesburg or Pretoria to get this car.
To collect this car, but that's fine. I'll take you in my next car, and then we can go collect it. And
okay.
Then,
but can you share your less sensible
option for a car? So, like I said in the beginning of this session, I'm a BMW fanboy.
Of course.
And going with the feel of my dad's was BMW, the second car I got is a 1990 E30 325 Multi-Valve Bmw.
Yeah.
It's got 250,000 kilometers on it. It's a 4-door or 5-door, however you want to see it. And it's a good car. It's got some 17-inch slicks on. It's looking pretty good. It's got an original body kit. It's still the original paint and everything, so it's in mint condition.
Mint condition?
Questionable.
It's good enough to drive straight to the repair shop.
Hang on. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. We're still waiting for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought it's a nice car. It's in black, which is not so sensible.
It's analog. Like, it's something you're going to enjoy when you drive around. And it might not be the safest.
Some guy in his car is revving at a red light to dice you or something, then you're ready for that. I mean, Then you hook it up and you go for it. I mean, it's cheap. It was what 50,000 rand. So
Yeah.
it's not a bad price to go for. And exactly the same thing. You get yourself some fat slicks to put
Larger
on it,
intercooler.
everything, and then fiberglass white body kits, and then you're sorted.
Yeah. So that's actually well, it's not that unsensible. Like it's still drivable. You drive a BMW. It's just if you have the money for the repair cost and the maintenance, then well done.
Or just slap a Lexus V8 in it, and then you're sorted.
So Luke, I haven't told you what I
No, you haven't.
decided for my second option. And
what he told me is he said it's either gonna make me laugh or I'm gonna walk out.
Yeah.
Or something.
Please don't walk out though.
Yeah, no, I won't walk out, but I might think of it.
Okay. So what's one big problem in Stellenbosch in terms of our roads?
Speed bumps.
Speed bumps. Those things are horrible. And
they're massive.
you
Like
literally-
they're half a meter high at least.
You close your eyes and there's a speed bump in front of you. So that's one thing in Stellenbosch, a lot of speed bumps. And majority of people who get their first car might not be as skilled at driving. Maybe now and then hit the curb. Maybe now and then hit the other car. Okay, accidents do happen.
Guilty as charged.
You want, well, that's another episode. So you want something that is also, for some reason, people like higher cars. People like SUV type cars. They want to climb, on top, like into the car.
Parking is another issue. So
Parking,
if
you
want
wanna
to
drive on a
park
sidewalk-
curb, then you're sorted. You just park underneath a tree on the sidewalk.
This thing solves your problems.
Oh
Don't
my
worry
gosh.
don't worry about a flat tire. Don't worry about curbs. There is no more okay, you might be driving a bit slow.
Are you advertising this car or telling me what you bought, Martin?
Okay, so I decided to get let me just get the year model on this. Okay, there's no year model. I don't know what the engine is, but it's a Landini HE80 tractor. I've decided to get you a tractor for your first car. You can mow the lawn. You can mow your girlfriend's parents' lawn. You can drive over speed bumps without worrying. You can drive over other cars without worrying. Insurance, you don't need insurance.
What's the liters per 100 kilometers on the tractor, Martin?
What's the kilometers per liter? Like,
Whatever.
well, I think
Fuel economy. Let me put it that way.
I think it might be like 3 liters per kilometer. We'll see. But very, very thirsty on diesel, I know. And your tires might cost you.
See, that's a fun thing about a tractor is you can pull a trailer with a tank full of diesel behind you, so you never run out.
You never run out. And also,
Your Joburg trip might just take a week, but
your
that's fine.
parents might be a bit angry at you because like there's no space on the driveway to park your car. But also,
There's space on your neighbor's driveway.
Also, your tires might cost you about 120,000 rand for a whole set of
For
four.
a set, yeah.
Because these tires are absolutely massive. But the good thing is, you'll only have to replace it every
30 years, maybe?
30 to 50 years.
If you're driving on top, probably like 30
and then you'll
years.
probably buy your second car.
Probably
which,
by then.
Which will be
like,
a Ford Fiesta. Which it could be
Could be.
your BMW you mentioned.
Exactly. And
So-
maybe it's a newer 3 Series model BMW like the new one. Yes, so that thing is gorgeous.
Yeah, so
New series of BMWs are stunning.
yeah, so I'm sorry that I had to
you bought a
spill that
tractor?
on you. I
It might
was
have
just
been the
like,
other way because I'm the one living on a farm. So
Oh, yeah.
I'll swap you the Pajero for the tractor.
no,
Oh,
I don't want the Pajero. The other option I had also here was a slammed 2017 Polo, like air suspension,
Air suspension,
new
low
rims,
rider. But
like-
then speed bumps, you're going to be
leathers,
going
low rider.
low rider all the
So
way.
yeah, that is our sensible, non-sensible. Please don't quote us on it. Please don't use our recommendations. First car segment.
First car segment.
So
yeah.
of course we still have to get our first cars.
We're driving, cars
Yeah.
that are given to us.
We
at the moment, so-
we are borrowing cars at the moment from our parents. So thank you, parents.
Thank you, parents. We appreciate it.
I mean, I haven't told you, but I drive a 2006 Polo. It's a 2-liter, and listen,
sensible.
that thing goes. It's the
Yeah.
perfect car to go and practice your heel and toe technique on. And I'm just very fortunate for that because, of course, I
so
don't.
if you know
heel
there's a
and toe.
car accident next week somewhere, then you know it was Martin
So if my
practicing
dad
his heel
is,
toe.
if my dad is watching, of course, like I don't do any funny stuff.
Of course,
I don't
you
try
really.
heel and toe.
No,
Like
not
I
at
drive
all.
40 kilometers on the
Exactly.
on the street. Anyway, that is enough of our rambling on first cars.
Mm.
We have an interesting segment we'd like to introduce. So this may or may not have been adapted from a British.
Or may not.
Yes, may or may not.
Just remember that.
Been adapted from a British television show. But they don't use it anymore.
So technically, it's not. But it may be.
It may be. So this is a segment we want to, when we have guests on, we want them to, basically give their opinion on this.
Run through a few cars and...
yeah.
And how does the so it's basically it's going to be a rating system, but it's an interesting rating system. So what's the name for that?
We call it the PT Cruiser segment.
Cruiser segment.
We call it the PT Cruiser segment because...
For those of you who don't know, a PT Cruiser is probably the ugliest car that you will ever see in your life. I mean...
Yes. Yeah.
It's worse than anything Daihatsu can come up with.
I do not know in what kind of midlife crisis Chrysler was in, but they were.
Yeah.
And the thing about the PT Cruiser, this segment actually started, me and Luke and I, we were discussing PT Cruisers, and we were trying to argue, like, what would be better, the cabriolet or the hardtop, And this was one stupid discussion we had, and we were like, why don't we do this segment? I think it'll be a good idea.
But I think the cabriolet is a better option anyway.
No.
Martin can let his luscious locks flow in the wind as he drives past all the chicks.
Please not. Anyway, so the PT Cruiser segment, we have 3 ratings.
You can three levels.
We have 2 cars today we're going to discuss and then place on the rating system. So we have 3 ratings. We have cool, dead average, and then PT Cruiser, which is
like bottom. It's like below the...
Like think uncool,
Yeah. You can't quote that, Martin. You can't say it's uncool.
Yeah. PT Cruiser. So that's why I'm calling it PT Cruiser. So we have 2 cars today. I'll discuss the one, you can discuss the other one.
Yes.
So the first car. So I said I drove a Polo, 2 liter, Highline, okay? Now that is about minus 4 kilowatt, okay? Not a very powerful car, but powerful enough to get you around. And now and then you can overtake a car on the highway. So that's a 2 liter.
Just if the wind is blowing from behind, then it's the only way you can do it.
That's a 2 liter, naturally aspirated. Seriously, it has about like 80 kilowatt maybe. The car we're talking about today, besides its 3 electric motors, it has an engine called the Big Friendly Giant, or the Big Tiny Giant. I think it's the Big Tiny Giant. This is a car with a 2 liter engine, free valve. Free valve is basically no camshaft. 2 liter, twin turbo, 3-cylinder. Okay, the Polo is a 4-cylinder. 3-cylinder engine with 600 horsepower. That's like what, 415 kilowatt.
There,
something like that. 415 kilowatt from a 2 liter, 3-cylinder twin turbo engine, and then the 3 electric motors. So it's about 1,700 horsepower. The car is a Koenigsegg Gemera. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right,
car.
But it's a beautiful car. This is the first, what can you call it? Mega GT.
Yeah, probably.
So this is a hypercar as we know it. But it actually has 4 seats, and I'm showing you photos now. But the doors are massive, and it's so like the dihedral
it's
doors.
It's like taking a Rolls-Royce door and slapping on a Koenigsegg and putting 4 seats in it with the most powerful engine you'll find in a 4-seater.
No, it is massive, and listen, it's beautiful. Like
it's a stunning car.
Just Christian van Koenigsegg, the boss of Koenigsegg, he basically doesn't ask questions that go unanswered. He'll ask the difficult questions to his engineers, and they'll be like, no, we can't create it, And then they still do. Like the carbon fiber wheels, for instance, Ferrari tried to create the carbon fiber wheels some time ago, and they were just like, no, it's not possible, like for velocity.
BMW, they got it right, but they did it on the motorbike. So the new arm bike has got carbon wheels on it. But of course, comparing that to wheels on that thing, so it's got a lot more power to work with and a lot more weight to carry anyway from putting out power to the wheels.
This is insane. What do you think about the concept of having a 4-seater? Do you think that's just more chance that 4 people...
I don't know. It's not a family car. You're not going to buy this car and be like, oh, I'm taking my family to Sunday lunch somewhere. I mean, you're not going to do that.
But your billionaire is going to.
Billionaires don't drive their own cars. So maybe it's a good car to have as a chauffeur, but the thing is, it's 2 doors, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 2, but it's massive.
I know it's massive 2 doors, but it's still like I don't know, it's a bit weird. It makes sense to me, and it's a great thing to put on the market. It's a big step to take for Koenigsegg to get that out. But I don't know.
So awesome features, and I think this car, well, they probably... Let me just see. I think I have it. Yeah, I think there's something like only 300. Yeah, only 300 will be built. So you're probably not going to get one. Maybe you're not going to see one. Chance is good. If you live here where we live, you're probably not going to see one here. But let's rate it. I say this is cool.
Yeah, no, that's top tier.
How can you even
I'm
ponder
with you.
about
I'm
this?
with you on that.
Yeah,
That's
so
top tier.
how can you even like? Yeah, I don't think there's any other car that does what it does. It's something totally new. Will people like it? Of course they will. It's quirky. It's fun. It's if you think about it, it's not sensible. It's not rational to design these type of cars, but people do buy it. So yeah, I think that's
top tier.
That's summed up.
Awesome.
That's cool. All right, first one. Oh well, second one.
The second one we have was the. I watched a video this morning, just before we started. Of I don't know if you know Andrew St. Pierre White, car journalist here in South Africa, but in the 4x4 scene, and he's brutal about the stuff he says. And he called this car the People's Defender.
Sure.
Which is quite a bold claim.
That's a bold statement.
But it's the Ineos Grenadier. It's the new. Well, I think it's their first car.
And you'll be seeing photos now.
Yeah, you'll be seeing photos.
Watch it on YouTube.
But it's the first car that they released now, and it's a big statement.
Yeah,
it's a proper thing. It looks stunning. It looks like a fantastic.
It does look like a very much modern Defender.
It looks. I think what they did was they designed a car that, if you were to, if the normal person that's been driving a Defender all their life, if they were to design the new Defender, this is what it would look like.
Yeah.
This car, it's an interesting car. It goes back to the classic 4x4 age, where it's a ladder frame chassis of the car. There's very little information about it.
Similar to the old Defender, similar to the G-Wagon.
Everything like that. And that's, talking about the G-Wagon, they knew what they were doing, because they took Magna Corporation and they used them, and it's the same people that built the G-Class for Mercedes and the I-Pace for Jaguar.
Oh,
the same company that worked on the production and the engineering
on
the Grenadier Ineos. And the reason why, because it was announced and immediately released, and it's a big thing. But the thing is, they don't have anything to protect. There's no previous model or something that
this
they
is
careful
new.
for. This is brand new.
Yeah.
But they. I don't know about this, what they want to do, but they want to test the car for 1.2 million kilometers. 1.2 million kilometers.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 1.2 million rand.
No.
I was like,
well, it will probably be something like that. But they're planning on releasing it here in South Africa, I think in the 2022 was the claim. So that's a fantastic thing, because it's coming directly, and they're doing the testing in South Africa as well.
Have you seen those BF Goodrich tires?
I've seen those BF Goodrich tires. And there was I think Mark Evans, car journalist, he was with Ineos and discussing and showed a few pictures and stuff, and this whole car is redesigned. It's like they have the BMW engines. It's a 6-cylinder petrol and diesel engines coming from BMW, but the whole body, everything is from scratch. Like the suspension, you should see the suspension arms and stuff on that. It's insane. It's all fabricated exactly for this car, fitting on the chassis and all that.
I see it as a cab version also, like the Defender, like the Bucky version.
Like a pickup. So
like
it looks. Yeah. To compare it to, if you don't know what it is, we'll show pictures as well, but it's like having a 110 Defender and a 110 pickup.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. It's a very, very nice car.
It's also a bit of a Frankenstein, if you look at it's G-Wagon, basically,
but
underneath.
That's where, because using Magna, that made the G-Wagon for Mercedes, and the back and the way with the ladder on the left-hand side and the spare wheel on the back door, that's very like the Defender and stuff. And
it looks like, well, there are some resemblances to Jeep. Like look at its exhaust. Look at the lights at the back.
The bumper at the back.
It's probably not Jeep parts, but it does like look like it.
I mean, even the windows at the top.
Yeah,
the side windows there at the top. They
Yeah, that is crazy.
But it's a stunning car. I think it's a great car. It's great for four-wheel driving. It's going back to the roots of four-wheel driving.
Yeah.
And that Anderson Pierre White. Yeah, you said it's a car that drives you and not a computer.
That's awesome. And that's what you want.
That's what you want. You want that full, like, the proper 4x4.
And with the BMW engine, like, it'll probably not be the character that the Defender was.
Yeah.
But I don't think,
it's just a proper powerhouse.
It's not a Defender copycat, you know?
No.
It's a Defender. It's new. Like, it's a new sort of Defender style of style of car. So I do think they're also trying to achieve something new out of it.
It's a big thing, but I think they did very good with it, because all the new cars that came out were like this type of thing, and they're all successful. I mean, previous generations, people recognize specifically these types of cars. So I think it's a fantastic thing that they did, and they were very clever about it and releasing it and doing all that stuff. It's a big thing for them and a big start for them to do.
So
I'm excited.
I can assume what you're going to rate this car, but what do you say?
I think Yeah, I think this is going to be
Cool.
Cool, yeah.
I'm not a big SUV fan. Like, I'm also not a big Defender like aficionado like Luke is, you know. But like, I do like it. I really like the idea of what they're trying to do here. Will it sell?
I think it
depends.
will. Yeah, it depends on the pricing.
I do think it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's going to be quite a pricey thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think for what you get and the whole experience you'll receive from it,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be worth the money to pay.
It's a new
like
brand,
this.
so we'll see.
But it wouldn't make sense if they overprice it, because then you're competing with big brands like Mercedes and Land Rover, and then what's the point of releasing something
And I don't think
as your first car, and then you don't sell anything because
they aren't trying to build a G-Wagon, you know.
So it will probably be over a mil, I'm thinking.
Yeah, maybe.
To the other stuff like the new Defenders.
It's also a new brand, so untrusted.
Yeah. The thing is, you don't know. We don't have any. That's why they're releasing it in 22, so they can test it properly, and then we can see reliability and all that stuff.
Yeah. How do you go about maintenance
I know the
and
new
repairs?
BMW engines, they run quite well, but
Yeah, they do.
obviously
No,
what they would do with this weight and 4x4ing and all that stuff, it's not the usual engine you use for that.
So we say cool. Cool. That's definitely okay. Yeah. Luke, that concludes our first podcast. Thank you for being here. Of course, you're going to be here basically all the time.
So. Are you going to replace me? What's going on?
This is only the first one. We'll see.
Little laugh there.
When I watch this over,
we'll decide whether I was worth it or not.
Yeah, but viewers, listeners, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I really hope this met your expectation. Yeah, I don't know what you were expecting. I don't know what we were expecting. But yeah,
I think this was a good guide to go for what
a good foundation to build on.
Yeah, to build on those.
Please review if you can on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, wherever we want to.
Leave us some comments and all that. And,
please give feedback. Criticism is also welcome. Like, of course, we want to.
Constructive criticism, don't bite our heads off.
We want to improve. We want to have the best possible experience for you. Otherwise, you won't be listening 55 minutes.
Exactly, yeah.
So I want to thank you for being here. Luke, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Martin.
And tune in next time. We will be recording the next one, which we don't know what we're going to speak about. But
we'll figure that out as
we go. But thank you.
Yeah,
have a good one.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.